Okay, good afternoon, folks. I'm going to try to go as brief as I can for this video today because I actually do have to go to a doctor's appointment in Great Neck. So, first of all, my mic is not loud. I don't know. Seriously, OBS can be a big pain in the neck. That's all I'm going to say. I don't know what's going on with it. There we go. Now you can hear me a lot better. Okay, so there is some interesting stuff that we do got to talk about today. And Channel 1, believe it or not, actually did send a reporter to a major breaking news story in the Bronx. And I figured since, again, you know, I am technically the regional bus director for Passengers United, which is led by Mr. Charlton D'Souza, I figured I'm going to keep to my obligation of talking about what happened. So here we go. 13 people injured in total after a bus in the Bronx collides into a subway pillar. And I got a bad feeling the driver probably had a medical episode, because something just doesn't add up. And I want to know if these buses have airbags, because the driver should have an airbag. I don't know from this angle, but we do have a video from CBS 2 that we will play. Channel 1 did do an excellent job with their report, but, here we go again, not posting the video on their website, and they're probably going to play the same video throughout the afternoon, most likely, until they have to go live, I think, 4 or 5 o'clock tonight. But let's read the story from Channel 1's website, and this is one of the rare times where I'm actually going to be reading from Channel 1's website. So here we go. An MTA bus driver is in critical condition and 12 others suffered minor injuries after a bus slammed into a pillar holding up an elevated subway line in the Bronx earlier this morning. Authorities said the incident happened around 8:30 a.m. on Boston Road and East Tremont Avenue. The bus driver, an employee of 14 years with a good driving record, was transported to St. Barnabas Hospital, according to New York City Transit President Richard Davey. 12 passengers were also aboard the bus, which included both children and adults. They were taken to St. Barnabas and Jacoby Medical Center, where they were treated for neck and back pain and bruises. Authorities said the driver was treated for cardiac arrest. Yep, like I figured, so the driver did have a medical episode. The medical emergency happened prior to or after the collision. When asked by a reporter at the press conference, Richard Davey said the driver, like all MTA employees, had completed a medical examination upon becoming an MTA employee and continued doing so biannually. So the female bus driver, and yes, there's confirmation the bus driver was a female in her 40s. Her most recent examination occurred 6 months ago back in January, when she passed, and had been cleared to work early this morning when she reported to a manager at her bus depot. Ooh, look at this. The driver's sister, who was also an MTA bus driver, was made aware of this incident and pulled from her shift so she could be with her family at St. Barnabas Hospital, according to President Richard Davey. Quoted saying by Richard Davey, "Her sister is also a bus driver. She's part of the MTA's family. When we found out that we pulled her off the bus and sent her to the hospital." It is, yeah. So, as for the structure of the incident, officials said city engineers evaluated the infrastructure and did not sustain any damage. I also want to mention Channel 1 did do a good job covering a couple fires that have been going on in the Bronx. There have been a lot of e-bike fires. I mean, you really got to be careful with those bikes, but... Okay, so Adams talked about the taxi accident that I was back in June. We're not going to get into that. It's not relevant right now. So what I want to do right now is look up this area of the Bronx, because this is a good question. Where is Boston and East Tremont? I think I may have an idea of where this is. Oh boy. Oh boy. Yep. This is what my gut was telling me. Right by the Bronx River Parkway. Yep, so I know where East Tremont is. Yeah, see, this is the Cross Bronx Expressway when I've gone to the George Washington Bridge. Hang on a second. Oh, I knew this was right by West Farms Bus Depot. How crazy is that this happened right by West Farms Bus Depot, and this happened right by Transit District 12 in the Bronx. Yep, and then look at this, Southern Boulevard. Not too far from the Bronx Zoo. Yep, so I know exactly where this area is in the Bronx. Now, this is not anywhere near Yankee Stadium, because Yankee Stadium is... Let's make sure we know where we're going. Thank you. Yankee Stadium's actually in Highbridge. So, funny enough, I was not too far from this area yesterday. So, next up, we're going to get into the serious accident that happened in Inwood. And Channel 5 did a good job covering it. But before we do that, let's just watch the video from Channel 2. We're going to keep it on mute. And this is what the accident looked like. And I could tell the driver had a heart attack, unfortunately. That's just really unfortunate. And it looks like, if I am correct, yeah, I don't think the bus has airbags. This is ridiculous. The driver should at least have an airbag. No airbag. Are you kidding me? That's a real safety hazard right there. And there's a good chance now I'm going to have to speak to the head of Capital Construction, who's also the CEO and president of the MTA, Jano Lieber, about this in September. Because now it's really time to address this. I don't know why the driver's seat doesn't have an airbag. I mean, isn't there some kind of DOT regulation that says the bus needs to have an airbag for the driver? I mean, you can't do it for the passengers because that's not, possible. But for the driver, there really should be an airbag. There really should have been. Oh, look at this. This crash in Inwood. I don't think the airbag went out in this car. So let's read what happened here. This is a brief one because, again, I don't want to browse around through it. 2 pedestrians died and several others were injured after 2 vehicles collided early Wednesday morning in the Inwood section of Manhattan. The vehicles crashed into one another at West 207th Street and Sherman Avenue around 4 a.m. Police believe one vehicle traveling in the northbound lane on Sherman Avenue swerved into the southbound lane, causing the collision. 2 pedestrians, both aged 31 and 32, were struck and killed, officials said. One was taken to New York Presbyterian Allen and the other to NYC Health Harlem Hospital. Sadly, both were pronounced dead. So, again, I only knew about this because Channel 5 did cover it last night. Police said a total of 5 people, including the drivers, were inside the 2 cars at the time of the incident. All 5 suffered minor injuries, according to NYPD. And, of course, the Highway District Collision Squad is currently investigating. So, there we go. I'm on sync. However, there is news that Channel 1 did ignore as usual. So, let's get into the major problem with the Staten Island Ferry. And what's going on with the Staten Island Ferry, you may be wondering? Well, guess what? There is a worker shortage. And we really do not know the reason why. So let's read from the Staten Island Advance. Okay, here we go. A coordinated sick out. So, yesterday we had ferry service being impacted. And listen, folks, it was bad enough that the 4 train was running with issues when people like me were trying to leave Yankee Stadium early. So, imagine... You're taking the 4 train from the Bronx to Manhattan, and you're trying to go back to Staten Island, right? The Yankee game was bad. They lost 7-3 yesterday. And all of a sudden, you were expecting to take the 4 train to Fulton Street. Not Fulton Street, no. Bowling Green, that's the station. Bowling Green. So you wanted to go to Bowling Green and take the Staten Island Ferry back where you were going to transfer for the local bus. Nope. That didn't happen yesterday. And last night, there was an overnight suspension. So we have hourly service on the Staten Island Ferry. Now, the good news is NYC Ferry is cross-honoring, so that's the good news. But this is unacceptable. Eric Adams is claiming, oh, this was 11 years of dispute. So basically, this goes back to when Mike Bloomberg was the mayor. And de Blasio put this off, and now Eric Adams wants to somehow get involved in a union dispute with the Staten and Ferry. They're claiming, oh, it was COVID sickouts. No, I mean, Channel 1 didn't even cover this. No, they didn't. They were too busy talking about the monkeypox last night. And they were talking about other nonsensical stories live at 10. Okay, so we're going to read a couple stories. Before I get to the crime news, I do want to read this. This is kind of important. So here we go. We have more spraying happening in Queens, and believe it or not, get this, folks. Most of this mosquito spraying on Monday is happening in Vicky Palladino's City Council District. Look at this. College Point, Whitestone, parts of Bay Terrace on Monday. But here's the problem. Why isn't Fresh Meadows getting any more spraying? With the drought that we've been having, we really need more mosquito spraying in Fresh Meadows. And other parts of Bayside, you know, why isn't zip codes 11361 and 11364 in Bayside getting mosquito spraying? To me, that doesn't make any sense. So, it looks like some parts of Francis Lewis Boulevard. Yeah, look at this. Francis Lewis Boulevard's also getting some spraying too. So this isn't some right by Councilwoman Palladino's office. Look at that. Okay, so let's get to this. 74-year-old woman from Bay Terrace struck by a car. So here we go. This happened at 26th Avenue and Corporal Kennedy Street. This happened on Monday, and sadly, I found this out from the Bayside Queens Facebook group. The woman was rushed over to Booth Memorial Medical Center in critical condition. According to a spokesperson from the 111 precinct, the woman had suffered severe head trauma. This incident happened 1 p.m. on Monday. The woman was lying on the roadway. So it says here, the accident happened when one vehicle began to turn from 26th Avenue to Corporal Kennedy Street. At the same time, the woman was attempting to cross Corporal Kennedy. She was struck in the crosswalk within the crosswalk and fell to the pavement. Immediately after striking the woman, the car then hit the driver's side of the vehicle, then was stopped at a red light in the southbound lane of Corporal Kennedy Street. The first vehicle involved in the accident was identified to believe to be a 2021 GMC SUV by a 43-year-old woman. The other driver that was struck at a red light was a 2019 Nissan Sentra with a 63-year-old man driving in it. Neither driver was injured in the accident. No arrest, ongoing investigation. So, yeah, I don't think, if the drivers were seriously injured, how would they be able to flee the scene? So, let's look this up. I believe I know where this is. Oh, yep, right by Bay Terrace. Right by Bay Terrace. Yep, look at this. I know exactly where this is. Yeah, see, right here. Right here. Yep. Okay, so we got about a couple more stories that we are going to read. Now, this story, I actually first found out from 1010 Wins, I think yesterday morning. I'm not too sure, but I know they did bring it up. So, here's what we know. This was back in July. Look at that. Okay, so they're not going into any of the specifics. You know, that's the problem. If you don't have the specifics, then why even publish the article? So, after digging some research, I decided to look into the 109 Precinct's Twitter feed, and I will be giving them a follow since they are the neighboring precinct to the 111 in Bayside. So, thanks to the Deputy Inspector Lauren Hall for giving a specific date, because again, the Queen's Courier really should have went to him for a source, but yes, so this happened on July 5th. So here are the details from the Queen's Courier. According to the Queen's Courier, this happened on July 5th, according to the 109 precinct. This was an assault that happened after a movie ended. This was the day after July 4th. So Here's what we know. According to the 109 precinct, they are looking for 2 men and 2 women. And again, here is the picture from the Crime Stoppers. So, thankfully, the movie theater did have cameras. So, this is what we know. After the movie was over, the violence began as the group took turns punching and kicking the 33-year-old victim in her head. One of the assailants took her cell phone. Oh, boy. And then look at this. Second victim got assaulted and began punching her in the face before running off in an unknown direction. The first victim suffered life-threatening injuries, police said, and was transported to NY Presbyterian Queens, which is Booth Memorial Medical Center in Flushing, for treatment. Second victim was refused medical attention. She had minor injuries, so this is what we know in terms of that, but I'm telling you, it's not just the 109 that's been seeing assaults going up. The 107, I've actually been hearing from Inspecting Officer Kevin Jan. Just last month alone, felony assault is also up in the 107. So my own precinct, which doesn't surprise me. And most of the felony assaults have been taking place at Pullman Oak Housing and at Briarwood, which, again, doesn't surprise me. Just because. And then look at this. Sexual assault in East Elmhurst. So when did this happen? Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Please tell me this was not at the bus where it goes to Astoria Park. I had a bad feeling it is. So this happened in the confines of the 115. So here we go. A 25-year-old female victim was sexually assaulted at around 12:30 p.m. on Friday, July 22nd. The suspect was standing behind the victim when he engaged in sexual contact without her consent. The man exited the bus at 23rd Avenue and 82nd Street at landing lights parked on the south edge of LaGuardia Airport. So, they do have a suspect description, but... And this is what goes on, and obviously you know Channel 1 ignores it. So, 23rd Avenue and 82nd Street. I don't think this is where the bus to Astoria Park goes. You know, hopefully not. Up! Up! Like I figured. Yep! Astoria Boulevard. Yep! Yep! Yep, Q48 stops there. And we're on top of the M60. But guess what, folks? Guess what? Happened right on top of the Q19 bus stop. So I'm thinking if this happened here, and I'm thinking this probably happened at the bus stop where the Q48 to Flushing goes. So they were probably either on the M60 or the Q48 route, because the M60 goes to Harlem. I said, that's my instinct. Okay, so we got 2 more we're going to read. And then we'll wrap up this video. So, carjacking in Woodhaven. Here we go. This happened on Tuesday. Authorities said that the 31-year-old man and a 62-year-old woman left their van unattended opposite 92-16 76th Street at approximately 8:30 in the morning. Upon returning, 3 unidentified individuals approached the 31-year-old victim, and he was entering the vehicle through the front passenger side door. The assailants then started beating him in the head with a metal object. According to police, one of the individuals entered the driver's seat and attempted to flee with the vehicle, driving over the 62-year-old female victim's foot. After a brief struggle, the perps were unable to steal the vehicle and fled on foot. So, this was an attempted carjacking, right? Look at that. 2 females and a male, according to the police in the area. So, yeah, they got a good idea. Oh, they definitely got a good idea. They definitely do. Both victims were taken to NYC Health Jamaica Hospital in stable condition. So they're going to be okay at least. But, I mean, this happened right at dawn. This happened on Tuesday morning. So as I'm getting ready for my day to go to Long Island Jewish Hospital to begin work, this is happening in Woodhaven. I mean, you really cannot make this stuff up. But again, this is what goes on with New York's dangerous bail reform laws that Eric Adams and Kathy Hochul can't seem to be on the same page about. So, yeah, right by Atlantic Avenue. So I know exactly where this is. Not too far from where the elevated subway line is. Yep. Okay, last story we're going to get into. Attempted murder at Queensbridge. Yep. This is in the 114th, so I figured I knew exactly where this is. So this happened on Sunday. Shooting occurred at about 9:45 p.m. on Sunday, July 31st in front of 40-03 10th Street. Okay, so this is a few blocks north of 21st Street where the F train is. Two men riding city bikes pulled up alongside a man on the sidewalk, and one of the cyclists pulled on a handgun and blasted the victim multiple times, hitting him in the face, left arm, and right leg. The two cyclists rode off eastbound on 41st Avenue. The victim was taken to Cornell Hospital in critical condition. So, yep. So the many stories that, again, Channel 1 just seems to ignore, as usual. And you think that they would talk about anything else? No! Look at this. Jacob Riz Park. E. coli. Really? So this is what I mean. They constantly have to focus on, you guessed it, Rockaway Beach. Eek. Why aren't I surprised? Why aren't I surprised? And look at this. They're too busy focused on politics. I mean, Carolyn Maloney now regrets saying Joe Biden shouldn't run. You know, where's the monkeypox news? You know, I have friends who are gay and lesbian. They're high vulnerable risk right now. Especially in the bisexual community. And where it is, here it is. Okay. So I briefly want to read this. Oh, look at this. They actually did talk about the Staten Island Ferry. So they buried it. They completely buried the story. Just like how Channel 12 does the same thing in Long Island. Why doesn't that surprise me? Couldn't even find it anywhere in the transit section. Yes, so again, this is an epic fail. CBS 2 said the ferry service stopped at 11 o'clock last night. Man, I'm telling you, I mean, this is a losing battle we're fighting against the media right now. So, some more ferries. So, yeah, problem. They're not running every 15 minutes like normal. And then, again, DOT's blaming COVID cases. I mean, really, this should have not been buried on the website. Yeah, so here we go. NYC Ferry will offer free trips between Barry Maritime Building Ship Slip 5 and the St. George Terminal. So, yeah, approximately every 15 minutes. I mean, really. They're running during rush hour. And then look at this. They're telling people to take the SIM-1, the SIM-1C, SIM-3, SIM-3C, SIM-4, SIM-4 buses. S79, S53, and S93 will be running more frequently into Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. So, what's that going to do? You're basically going to have to take a slow R train to get into Manhattan? That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. Especially because a lot of people who come from Staten Island, who have jobs along the Lexington Avenue line near Grand Central, they heavily rely on the 4 train at Bowling Green. You really cannot make this stuff up. You're just lucky the Yankees are on a road trip right now. But then here's the problem. the Met fans who are coming from Staten Island, how are they supposed to get to Citi Field? Especially how they rely on 7 Express service at Grand Central. And I do agree with Nicole Maliotakis. They need to work hard on a new contract. Okay, so here we go. So there is some good news. I want to mention to my viewers who are gay or lesbian, please note, or bisexual, please note that new appointments on the city's vaccine portal will open tonight at 6 p.m. So make sure you're on your computer. Make sure, because these vaccine doses are going to run out. But we got an epic fail. There is no monkeypox vaccine site in Northeast Queens. So yet again, Northeast Queens is being despaired. And I know for a fact that Bayside actually has a gay and lesbian community. So more blatant proof of the discrimination that we are facing. I understand that Astoria and Long Island City have a gay community too. But, I mean, this is the discrimination we're constantly facing right now. Right? I mean, I don't have a significant other in my life right now. But, again, I have a friend who is in a very happy lesbian relationship. I have another friend of mine. He's been with the same partner since before COVID. So I worry about my friends in the LGBT community. I do. And, you know, what's ridiculous is that they're not complaining that there's not enough monkeypox vaccines available in Nassau County. You know, it's let's just focus on Fire Island. So this is the discrimination that we're facing time and time again, folks, from the media, especially when it comes to crime and now our health. This is what we have to constantly deal with time and time again, and I'm sick of it. And I'm really glad Channel 1 again was on the scene in the Bronx, but they need to do a much better job covering the other news. So that's it. I gotta go to Great Neck. I have a doctor's appointment. So stay cool, because the remainder of today and tomorrow is going to be ridiculously hot, but then hopefully, they said next week, we're going to see the humidity go down. So drink plenty of water, stay hydrated, try to get into some air conditioning if you can, or maybe try to get by the water, because I know I'm definitely going to do that this weekend. So that's it.